Hi everybody, and thanks for joining me today. So I'm working at the bottom of this pass. I'm filling in the flower bud at the bottom. I'm not starting at 0 today. There's over 100 done because everything was conspiring against me today. I was trying to film and I kept getting interrupted. There was phone calls, which were bogus auto dialers. And then my husband came home mid-session to ask if I wanted to come test drive a vehicle. So there's that. And after the third interruption, I just went, okay, forget it. I'll try again later because yeah, getting that many fragmented bits edited together is a pain. I can do it, but it's annoying and I don't wanna. So I restarted. So we're at 105 to start. That's just where we are. And but yeah, and husband came home early and I wasn't expecting him, so there's that too. And he kind of came in quietly. I'm like, it's fine, I've given up. So yes, here we go. Hopefully this one is more successful. So yeah, if I repeat myself or whatever, I won't remember what I said last time versus what I was trying to film earlier today, so sorry about that. I tend to do that anyway. ADHD makes me forget. It's funny, I can have a really good memory of some things, and then other things are just, yeah, my working memory sucks. Yeah, it's funny because like anecdotes I remember forever. Like one of my friends jokingly called me her oracle because she'll tell me anecdotes. Years later, I reference them and she's like, huh? She doesn't remember it herself, even though she's the one who told me they were about her kids. So she's like, yeah, I'll just tell you if I want to remember stuff because you'll remember it. So, but anyway, yeah. Well, talking about test driving because we are still trying to sell Kiddo's truck. Well, technically it's not his because it's a right-hand drive. He's a new driver, so we can't actually put him on as the main driver. We can't insure it under his name. It has to be, yeah, under my husband's name, and then he's allowed to drive it. So yeah, because yeah, before we knew that, my husband did a bunch of work on it thinking that we'll sign it over to him when he graduates high school and it can be his. But yeah, we didn't know that he can't have that till he's been driving for like 5 years or something, which obviously he's expected to graduate next year. So yeah, that won't be happening. So, yeah, plus, like I said, it's a diesel and when it's really cold, you can't drive it like you could with a gas vehicle. So there's that consideration as well. Yeah, and oh boy, there's a lot of scammers out there. There's this one they do that, yeah, we found out the one asking for this vehicle report, it's bots from that site. Those are not the real ones. Like you can get the real ones from, you know, you go into a government office and you can give them the VIN and you can look it up and it's like $30. This one is $60 and it's fake. Basically, a bot or whatever will claim that they are interested in buying it, but they just need this report first. So of course, people fall for it. They pay $60 for this report and then they never hear from the supposed buyer again because they weren't a real person, right? Or they were not actually interested in buying, it was just a scam. And because they only try to get you for, you know, $60, not a lot of people will not really have their guard up and will, yeah, before they catch on, we'll pay for it and then, oh, right. Yeah, and you're out the $60. So yeah, because we had one guy who claimed he was coming to get it and he was going to bring a certified check and everything. And I'm like, but he hasn't even seen it or driven it. Like, that sounds too good to be true. And then, oh yeah, but before I go, I just need you to get this report. Like, oh yeah, thanks a lot, you know? So yeah, it's a pain. And then, so we took it to the dealership to see what they would give it to us on trade-in with it. And one dealership said, no, they don't even want it. And another one actually did want it because it's like they didn't want it because it's a right-hand drive. Another one actually said that they did because it makes for a good sort of publicity thing. They'll park it out front. People will see it. Oh, that's an unusual vehicle, you know, and come in to talk to them. And so, yeah, they said they've done that a couple of times with right-hand drives because, of course, they're not very common out here, right? And yeah, so there's that. But of course, you get less on trade-in than if you sell it yourself. But then if you do the trade-in, you don't have any of that hassle, right, of having to ferret out scammers and stuff. So it's a trade-off, right? But we had one time, we were asking a place what would they give us on the trade-in for our old vehicle. And the guy, of course, you know, took it, test drove it and stuff to see how it ran. And he came back, he's like, well, there's a big rock chip in your windshield. I'm like, yeah, okay. And yeah, I mean, it's just this really big chip. I'm like, yeah, okay. And he keeps going on. It's like, dude, I know you're trying to lowball me. I get how this works, right? But it's a rock chip. It's not like we're talking about a crack in the engine block, right? Like there's nothing mechanically wrong with this car. It's just a windshield. And like, this is Canada. Like 75% of the windshields out there are cracked or chipped, right? Because that's just the way it is. We got lots of rocks and stuff, and yeah. Anyway, and they wanted to give us like $1,800 for it. We just kind of went, yeah, okay, thanks, forget it. And then when my husband went and sold it for over $4,000, so yeah, privately, so yeah. But it was just so annoying. Like, can you just quit with the song and dance about the rock chip? We all know you're going to lowball us. I don't know. I don't like those silly games, right? Like, you couldn't find anything mechanically wrong with the car, so you're focusing on this stupid rock chip. And it's like, I'm not fooled. We knew the vehicle was worth way more than $1,800, you know? And I mean, I understand. They have to lowball you because they have to make a profit on it and stuff. But yeah, it was annoying. Just say, this is what we're prepared to offer. You don't have to go on about the rock chip because you're not going to convince me that takes that much of the value off the vehicle, right? Yeah, I actually remember when we got that one, we were, pardon me, we were traveling to visit family. So we were on the highway and a big rig came around the corner and I actually saw the big rock get thrown up by its wheels and come towards us. Oh man. And then bang. Yeah. It was a loud one. But yeah, I kind of just saw it coming. I was like, shoot, like you can't even get out of the way or anything. It's just, yeah. So. Yeah, used car lots are not as much of a thing around here. I remember when I was a kid, especially like in the 80s, they were everywhere, right? But now it's mostly just like, these are the used vehicles this particular dealership has, you know, take it or leave it. Yeah. So, but yeah, like we said, there's no hurry. We're just kind of seeing what interest is out there. If it doesn't sell and we don't find a suitable thing we want to trade in for, because yeah, we test drove this one that they had, and yeah, they're asking too much for it. It had problems. It wouldn't go over a certain speed even on the highway. And yeah, like it just, there were things about it. You could hear the engine straining, and yeah, it was a rough ride. And yeah, like my husband said, it could be something as simple as like the fuel filters need changing, but it could actually be a mechanical issue and you won't really know. And so, yeah, we just went, no, we don't really want to buy something we got to put a ton of work into. So, yeah, we'll pass on that one. Yeah, kiddo wants a manual transmission. So, yeah, so my husband said he's going to have to reteach me so that at least I can move it out of the driveway or whatever. Because yeah, I drive automatic. It's too many things to think of driving standard. Which I said sounds kind of funny since my brain is always very busy and thinking about multiple things at once. But I said the problem is I don't get to control what it thinks about, right? It just, yes, it goes off in all directions and thinks about what it wants to think about. Yeah, like there was a meme I saw that said, you guys have a train of thought, like a single one? I've got like 4 of them and they're all converging into one, you know, one choke point and all the conductors on the trains are screaming at each other. Or somebody said, I have a Roomba of thought. It, you know, goes around, bumps into other things, changes direction, spins around in circles. Yeah. Yeah, Roomba is something I've never invested in. I still vacuum the old-fashioned way. Especially with my carpet the way it is, I couldn't really use one. It's it needs replacing, and it would grab the loose fibers and pull them, and that's no good. My regular vacuum already did that, but at least I was able to stop it immediately, right? Okay. Oh, actually, I don't know why I decided to go for that color next. I'm actually going to fill in here. Although, yeah, the colors are kind of, as you can see, I didn't follow my diagonal. I followed somewhat the curve of these colors here. So I think that one was threaded. Yeah, I just unthreaded it. But yeah, Kiddo's been practicing the manual on a different vehicle. My husband has an old Honda Prelude, so he's been practicing on that in parking lots. So it's a bit overpowered, so he left a patch unintentionally. But they were in a big empty lot, so there was no risk of hitting anything, right? So. But yeah, my husband said like he would probably need about a week of practice and then he'd be good to go on a stick shift. So well, I think my husband's first vehicle was a manual too. So yeah, actually it was funny because his dad's a mechanic, and he would buy older or written off vehicles and fix them and then sell them. And you know, since he was a teenager, my husband would come in and him and his brother would work in the garage with their dad, so they learned a lot of car maintenance stuff that way. And his dad had wanted to sort of keep the car a surprise for him because it was a graduation gift. But he's like, but if I insisted he wasn't allowed to work on it, then he would have gotten suspicious, right? So yeah. So they just let him think it was yet another car that they were going to fix up, sell. And then, yeah, at his grad, they gave him the gift box with the keys in it. Oh, no, it's not true. Really? This is mine? Yeah. So, yeah, so he helped fix up his own car without knowing it. Okay, yeah, so this is a bit of background here because this bud is kind of almost like a heart shape on top. And I looked at the mock-up earlier. Yeah, so I was working on Ocean Eye. Like I said, I just kind of followed the curve around this flower bud here. And now I'll fill in the flower. And then there's another bigger flower to start over here. And then it will be time to move the frame, but I think we might not get that done before the end of the month. So yeah, 115,000 total is totally doable. I think I started at around 107 at the beginning of this month. So yeah, I did about 8,000 on this in the month, which is generally about how much I get done. If I were to focus on just the one piece, I think I could get more like 12,000 done. But I do work on Firefly as well, so I focused mostly on one piece, but yeah. Yeah, so it came up in my memories. A year ago, Firefly was at 7% done, and now it's at like 14.5. So, yeah. At that rate, it's going to take me about 12 years to finish. Oh. Yeah, biggest project I've ever worked on. And every time I pick it up, I think, man, what was I thinking? It's over 500,000 stitches. Although I do see some people, like in the Heaven and Earth Designs groups, they have multiple supersized max colors started, which is just like, wow, those are so huge. Like, there are 1,000 stitches on one side. So they're like often like around 700 by 1,000 stitches, which is, you know, over 700,000, right? Or abouts. And yeah, I'm just thinking, I don't know if I could finish even one of those in a lifetime. Maybe one, but like when people have like 4 or 5 of them started, it's like, I guess it's going to be a legacy project. Maybe your kids or grandkids will finish it. Okay, so I'm going to park that there. So I just kind of tacked it in the middle because it's a little bit of a longer carry, but it's still within that inch that I like to work with. So, and then because it's over an area that hasn't been stitched yet, it will get stitched over and it will secure that even more. So I can actually do this one anyway. It's right up against this. Right up against that edge there. So, okay. So yeah, I had a whole bunch of needles on this for a while because I had to add a whole bunch of colors here. But now that they are all parked below line 260, which is where I'm ending my pass, they're all out of my way. Okay, so far almost 20 minutes and nobody's interrupted me, so that's better than I was doing earlier. Yeah, it was like every 10 minutes something happened. Oh, I already have one parked there. Oh, I forgot to mark it. Okay, no problem. I will just put this thread back, use it later. Probably I parked that right when like the phone rang or something, and that's why I got distracted. Forgot to mark it. At least that's what I'm gonna blame it on. Oh, not sure if this piece will be long enough for all of these stitches here. We will see. It'll be close. I do play thread chicken. Just enough. Sweet. I won. Yeah, so like I said, I won thread chicken. That's how much I had left. Not very much. Yeah, actually, I think it's flower, and there's going to be a bit of a leaf there next, and then the next flower. Yeah, we're going to reach the peacock soon, although definitely not this month. Next month we should. And then we'll be back to the wing and then tail feathers again. My favorite part. Rats, yeah. I had a feeling I had pulled that out of the needle, but I was hoping I was wrong. Ah, what a pain. Ah, come on. I only need to make one more pin stitch. That's all I need. Okay. Yeah, threading the needle from underneath when it's this short is definitely a challenge. Okay. There's a few colors here because there's quite a few pin stitches here ending off threads, but that's okay. I stitch over it. Okie doke. Okay. Oh, I think, no, I pulled out O2 on my tray, but not O3. thread was not smooth. And if I stitch with it like that, then I often will end up with the ends being very uneven because the extra bit will, yeah, end up messing it up. So I just wanted to smooth that out first. Okay, we'll do this one out of order. But like I said, I still try to not close in on all 4 sides, just 3. Oh my goodness. Oh, change my position here. My hip is complaining at me. I did do my walk this morning. I don't know, maybe I stepped wrong or something. My hips don't usually bug me, but it's bothering me today. Oh my gosh, we've got a knot. There we go. Missed one. There we go. Okay, 37.52. Yeah, we're definitely more confetti heavy today than last time. Okay. It's noisy. Garbage trucks going by. Okay. Ooh. Oh dear. Okay, so here's the one that I threaded earlier. Just a short one. I'm gonna use for this little section here, and then I'll start a new one for the bigger sections there. Now he's getting the other side of the street. You might hear more. We have 3 separate ones. One does recycling, one does compost, and one does the actual non-compostable garbage. So yeah, they changed it a few years ago and actually issued everybody garbage cans. So green one for compost and a gray one for garbage. Park that right there. Sometimes when there's other needles stacked on top on the magnet, yeah, when you try to pull a thread out, sometimes it just comes right out of the needle instead of the needle coming with it. Actually a bit more off-white here than pink. Looks more pink on the mock-up. But yeah, I know all these different colors adds that nice detail shading. do these. Okay. Oops, don't want to be frogging stitches. Oh. I said there's a lot less pink on here than I thought from looking at the mock-up. Probably there's more pink further down in the next pass. So yeah, this part's sloping that way. I'm just gonna follow it. I was saying 115,000 by the end of the month, but we might even hit that today because we are less than 100 stitches off from that milestone. So go along that edge and back up. Yeah, now we're getting into the pinks a bit more. Once again, I won at Thread Chicken. This piece of felt here because the fabric was kind of rubbing against my hand. The Aida is rather rough, and the folded up Aida on the bottom was rubbing against my hand and was uncomfortable. So yeah, just put some felt over it. It's a much softer surface. It doesn't irritate my hand to rub against it. You're being a pain. There we are. Yeah, so I'm going to kind of divide this section of this color probably into more than one thread. So I'm gonna come from the one side in and then work from the other side out. That's what I often do, and they sort of meet in the middle. Like I said, the colors are starting to slope the other way. I'm gonna follow them somewhat. Yeah, it's funny. My husband and son, they watch Top Gear, which is a UK show about cars. And when we had Prime, it had like season 14 on there. And then I noticed on Tubi, they have season 5 onwards, so they're now watching the earlier seasons. And yeah, my husband will say, hey, you want to go watch Top Gear? And the other day he kind of, you know, teenage groan. And I said, oh, you're so hard done by. Your dad wants to watch a car show with you. He says, no, I didn't want to get up. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's valid. I remember at that age, I had the same thing. Once you sit down, you don't really want to get up again. But yeah, they have some funny challenges. They had a bet with one guy about who could buy, I think it was a Porsche, for the best deal, and they could only spend a certain amount. And the guy said that if he lost, he would eat his hair. So yeah, trigger warning for gross. He lost, so they actually brought in a chef who made him an omelet and they cut his hair, trimmed his hair and put it in it, and he had to eat some. Like, ew. Yeah, I said never say stuff like that when you're making a bet, even if you think you have a sure thing, because you never know, right? And then you'll be on the hook. Yeah, it was funny. There was a guy who had a lemonade stand on the street near us a couple summers ago. We were driving by, and my husband says, look at what his sign says. And yeah, he had a big table with a lemonade stand and a big sign that says, I lost a bet. I don't think he actually sold any lemonade. Yeah. Well, at least that's not quite as embarrassing as I guess it could have gotten, right? Yeah, so I think I'm going to stitch until I've sort of filled in this flower bud here. And then I think that'll be a good place to stop. Less than 100 stitches left. Okay. White. Yeah, so, what you might call it, Heaven and Earth Designs charts white as 1. And then white tin is 01, and which I messed up when I started this project. Yeah, I used a whole bunch of 01 when I should have used 1. And so I went through after that on all of my Heaven and Earth Designs patterns. I went through the thread list and manually changed them to say white so that I will not do that again. Yeah. The thing that annoyed me the most about that was I knew people were making that mistake and I still did it. I thought, well, okay, I'll double check and make sure I don't make that mistake. And I still did. Like, I actually don't think any of the patterns that I bought uses 01. So yeah, I bought a whole bunch of 01 for no reason. And I stitched 10,000 stitches of it wrong before realizing that was in the upper left of this project when I started it. Yeah, and I had someone say, oh, well, you could leave it and say it's a storm cloud. I'm like, it would bother me forever because the rest of it is the lighting of a bright sunny day. And if that's a storm cloud, I don't know. It would just be wrong. I would know it was wrong and it would bother me forever. So yeah, I restarted, and that piece of fabric I'm going to repurpose and use for stitching my Deer Creek, which is smaller. That one's 200,000 stitches, so I can just cut off the part that I screwed up, or at least most of it. I'll only have to pick out a few hundred stitches versus 10,000, which is what I was going to do and use it, the same piece of fabric for this project. But yeah, and I had someone say, no, don't do that. You'll just drive yourself mad, you know? My sister's like, yeah, I would just chuck the whole thing. I'm like, but I'm too cheap, you know? This fabric's not cheap. But then, yeah, I thought, well, you know what? What if I only had to chuck part of it? And I could still use the majority of it for another project. So that's what I did. Yeah. Yeah. I said, are you even a serious stitcher if you don't have a story like this? One of my friends, she said she started the piece with the fabric the wrong way round, which, you know, instead of it being wider, it was taller when it was supposed to be the other way. Yeah, and then that she restarted again and then thought she had done the same thing, ripped it out and realized, no, she'd done it right the second time, but too late, she'd already ripped it out. So then she had to start it again a third time. So it was like, oh yeah, this project is cursed. Yeah, I said I had a yarn like that. I tried to make a sweater out of it like 3 times. And every time the sweater just didn't fit right. It wouldn't hang nicely. Eventually I gave up and I used that yarn and made myself a blanket with it, a baby blanket, a little lap blanket. And yeah, because then, well, it was a yarn I'd never tried before, and you kind of don't know how it's going to drape until you've actually knitted it up. And yeah, sometimes it won't work well for the garment you want to make it into. But blankets are a lot more forgiving, right? So they don't really have to hold a shape or whatever. So yeah. Okay, actually I'm gonna just start working my stripes out from here so I don't have to change colors quite as often. Goes a little quicker that way. Okay, this is a short piece, so I think rather than parking it down below where there's quite a few stitches of this color to do, instead I'm going to park it up over here and use it up with these last couple of stitches. Yeah. think there might be a knot there. Yep. Kind of thought that thread suddenly felt shorter than it was a few stitches ago. Yeah. Oops. Accidentally pulled out 2 envelopes with that. Fell on the floor. Oh, well. Oh, look at that. I passed 115,000 today. So yeah, cool. Maybe I could actually do this with one thread instead of two. Yeah. Like I said, sometimes I decide differently once I actually get there. Actually, I might as well do these three at the bottom here as well. don't usually stitch for this long with you all, but I kind of really want to finish this flower before I quit, so I'll go a little longer. I've had people say they prefer longer sessions. I had to do shorter ones a couple times because pain flare-ups, so I'll make up for that now. So, yeah, actually I could just do this, stitch in another direction. Probably end up having to add another thread because this will probably run out, but that's okay. So like I said, there was a little bit of closing in here because of the way I decided to allow it to follow the outline, the motif on here, but that's okay. Let's see if this will stretch enough, or if I will lose this game of thread chicken this time. Yeah, I will have to add another thread, but this way I used up all of this one before I did that. It's definitely going to be the last stitch we get out of this one. Okay, so we'll finish off these and I will be calling it a day there. So we didn't start at 0. Like I said, I did 105 before we began, but still did a pretty decent number of stitches today. Stitched a little longer than usual. Got the top of this flower bud completed. So I am happy with that progress. Park this down out of the way. And mark that, and there we go. All right, so thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you here next time. Thanks, everyone. Bye.